Good morning and welcome to Temple Ewell School. My name's Reverend Ian Parish and I'm going to be carrying on in the second of our series on Noah and the flood, the second part of the story, and to maybe reflect on our experience of rainy weather. In April, I think almost all records were broken for how dry and frosty it was, and then we came into May. In the first 7 days, we found thunder and heavy rain. And did you notice with the thunder and lightning and rain, the first thing that came was almost two fronts as they collided together. The lightning flashing across the sky and then the clapping of the thunder. It was quite impressive. I want you to think today of a rainy day. And when did it last rain heavily? For me, it was just a couple of days ago. And I wondered, what effects does the rain have on you at school? I imagine that the journey to school is a little bit wet as you walk along the pavements and the cars go by and maybe splash you with the water from the puddles. I imagine that you wear different clothes. Maybe you put your wellies on, waterproofs and a hat. And I wonder what you like or dislike about the rainy or wet conditions, and how does it affect your outdoor activities at playtime? Are you allowed to go out on the grass? Are you allowed to play on the swings and things, or do you have to stay in the classroom looking out to the windows as the rain just keeps coming down, all hoping that it's going to clear so that you can go out and play? I think sometimes we have to patiently wait for the rain to stop before going outside, and that patience at times can be difficult. Today I'm thinking again about the story of Noah's Ark. Remember where Noah was told to build a huge boat or an ark because it was going to rain and rain and rain, and every kind of animal and bird was given a home inside so that they would be safe. Noah and the animals watched as the puddles grew deeper and deeper and deeper. They watched as the puddles grew wider and wider, and soon they became huge streams of running water, and it kept on raining and raining and raining. And soon Noah's Ark was floating in a vast sea of water. The water was grey, the sky was dark, there was water everywhere, and inside everyone felt gloom as the days went by, and the cleaning for the animals and the general upkeep of the boat got boring, and there was nothing to do apart from just look out at the rain. So together they started to count the days and nights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It was still raining, raining and raining. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 days and nights, and it was still raining and raining and raining. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, will it ever stop? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. The oceans were vast and there was no land in sight, and they were just riding the waves on their boat. All they could see was vast amount of water and oceans, and it seemed that the only creatures that got any joy from life was our seagull friends and doves and other birds of the air. They started counting again. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Can you remember how many days it rained for? The animals could still hear the rain beating on the roof of the ark, and then suddenly, on the 40th day, it stopped. There was silence. But it was many more days before a gentle breeze blew and began to dry up the waters. And it was many more days before there was a sudden bump. the ark had hit dry land, and soon the animals would be able to go outside again, to graze on the lush green grass, to go up and down the meadows and rest under the shade of the trees. Before that, on about the 40th day, Noah had let a dove fly out to see how dry it was. At first the dove came back quickly because there was no land in sight. But a week later the dove brought back a fresh twig, had it in its beak, and Noah thought, there must be land somewhere. And then he set the dove free again. About 2 weeks later the dove didn't come back. He knew that the land was dry again, and the animals all started to get excited and ready to go outside. It's an interesting story about Noah. I wonder how we might link that in to our own world today. Certainly when we watch the news from around the world, we can see that lots of heavy rain can cause rivers to overflow, covering roads and damaging homes. And then everyone must wait for the rain to stop and for the flooding to go down, just like Noah did. We see examples of global warming and changed weather patterns caused by pollution. And whilst heavy rain isn't punishment sent from God, we do know that it can result from the destruction of the environment caused by the carelessness of human beings. And so I wonder today, is there a modern parallel between the story of Noah and the Great Flood and of our climate change, the melting of the polar ice caps and the rising of the sea levels that threaten many people from around the world, and very often in places that are a lot worse off than ourselves? I don't think that we can ever stop it raining. One thing we can do is reduce the effects of pollution and that greenhouse effect that tends to cause the polar caps to melt and the sea levels to rise. To read you a rhyme about the weather. I'll read it through twice, and I want you to see if you can count how many times I say weather. Whether the weather be fine, or whether the weather be not, whether the weather be cold, or whether the weather be hot, we'll weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. I wonder if you'd like to raise your hand or shout out how many times you think I said the word weather. Should we try again? Whether the weather be fine, or whether the weather be not, whether the weather be cold, or whether the weather be hot, we'll weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. I'll count them. I think it's 12, but I'm sure you'd correct me if I was wrong. So holding our thoughts on the weather, on the rain, and on climate change, let's just say a short prayer, and I wish you well this day. I hope the sun always shines in your life and that you are spared from the torrential rain. Dear God, thank you for the rain that makes things grow. Thank you that there are all types of weather. Help us to make the most of it, whatever the weather. Amen. So I look forward to seeing you around the week, and next week we'll have our third part in the story of Noah and the flood. I look forward to speaking to you then. God bless you.